Hi everybody, Sharon from Vivid Days. I am excited because I am going to get to play with ClearCast resin, and I'm going to use the doming resin, which is 2 to 1 part. No, yeah, 2 parts to 1. That's right, Sharon. 2 parts of A to 1 part of B. I've mixed myself 150 ml, and we are going to work on a flower. I wanted to do one with gold leaf behind to see if I can try and perfect that, white and yellow. And what I'm going to do is see how this resin responds to it, and I'm so excited to see how it is. And I also have my tent now to try and limit the amount of dust particles. I'm so sorry if you're going to get a reflection in there, people. I know some people don't like that, but I need to do what I need to do, and I'm sure it's not going to devalue the whole process for you. Anyway, let's go on this fun little experiment. You're going to get the pleasure of me doing a voiceover for you now. Now, you might think, Sharon, how have you got to this part? Well, I have a little confession to make. My video hadn't recorded, and I thought it had, but bear with me, because if you want to see how I got to this stage, I've got some step-by-step videos on free form flowers. I've said that 4 times to you. It's my first time, but I kept getting tongue-tied. So I'm continuing my love affair with the Resonate pigments, but I'm sure I'm going to move on to other pigments. And all I have done is mix the off-white, the yellow and the orange, and I've placed it on my gold leaf, and I waited 20 minutes until I felt the resin starting to heat up, and then I poured my resin in an order. Now luckily you are going to get to see me add some more blobs in here which become my petals, and people that's not seen this before might be thinking, oh dear, what are you doing? Well, I'm just trying to wipe off my excess gold leaf and make sure that I have got no runoffs that's going to merge the petals together. And because the resin has static in it, what I've done is try to get the static to work so the gold leaf gently folds over the resin. Now, it doesn't look great on the board as it is now, but when you put them together, I think it adds such a rustic petal. But I am Sharon and I'm digressing, and I'm getting fixated on the petals. Now the whole point of this video is to test a new to me ClearCast resin. So this was a very impromptu video, and what I meant by impromptu is I wasn't envisaging putting this on my channel because I was trying this resin for the first time. I didn't know whether it was going to work or be suitable for doing sculptures or freeform flowers like I'm doing, because you need a medium viscosity. Now I have to say, overall I am so excited by this resin. It's the first time that I've found one for me where there's no sweet smell. You're getting that medium viscosity, and it's responding the same way it does with one of my go-to resins that I've used for a while. But before I go on and talk about my experience with the resin, when you saw me removing the gold leaf, you noticed I wasn't wearing gloves. Now I always wear gloves when I'm working with resin, but when I was trying to wipe off my excess gold leaf, it was sticking to it because the resin on the gloves was a little bit tacky, so I removed it purely for the purpose of the gold leaf. So safety first, people, always with resin. I'd also like to apologize. This is the first time I've got my camera angle the way it is with my new greenhouse tunnel to try and help prevent the dust getting everywhere, and I've noticed that it's darkening some of the aestheticness that you get on my videos normally, so I will work on that, and that's another reason why this video was impromptu. I probably didn't set it up as I would do normally. However, the brightness of those petals is amazing. But let's get back on with the journey of this resin. As you know, every resin is going to have a different curing time. So part of this exciting adventure for me was understanding my limitations and how I can push the boundaries. Now, normally I worked, or should I say, the minute part A, part B came together, I would wait 20 minutes, it would be heating up, and then I would start to pour it. I did the time frames roughly the same, and I could definitely feel it warming up in the cup, but I think I could push it an extra 10 minutes. Now, the reason I like to push it until the last minute is you mix your pigments in there, so it's all good to go. The only thing then you're going to do is pour it on the board, which isn't going to take a long while. That gives you more control with your petals not merging together or it not being too runny. You want it to more or less hold the shape. The beauty of it being slightly runny still is that it bleeds into each other and creates some natural effects. Now, this here was nearly 5.5 hours after I had put my petals down. Now, normally I'd come back in 4 hours and that would be it done and ready to do this stage. Whereas you come up and you do a touch test on it in an area where you're not going to leave a fingerprint, and seeing whether it's still bendy enough to move to sculpt around your glass, but not runny enough that it's going to drip and create runoffs and excess. Now, this one being 5.5 hours later, at this point I'm very happy it's responding how it wants to be. The only thing I need to do is educate myself on the times and everything like that. It wasn't quite ready to pull the paper off the back of it, but the iridescent paper, as you know, if you leave it on your petals, creates a beautiful effect in different angles. So I wasn't too worried. I think if I'd have waited another hour, I would have been able to pull my iridescent paper off. Now I know when it's fully cured, it pulls off beautifully. So the paper I've got works well and the resin responds well to this. So if I'm going to do a big sculpture, I know that that's going to come off beautifully. Now, I'm not going to bore you and let you see me cut around every single petal. I cut some of that out for you, but this is something you need to be aware of. This process does take a while, and you have to build that into your time frames. Now, I find that when you've cut around them, I'm putting it to the board to one side, and I sort them into small, medium and larges, because that's how you're going to rotate them around your champagne flute. There's a big lesson I learnt with this one is it cures beautifully hard, this resin. It's probably one of the hardest ones I've worked, and I really like that. Now the downside is when you're starting to build your petals around it, if it's not 100, if it's like still got a little bit of movement and a lot of curing in there, if you did what I did, which was made it too snug, I couldn't get my champagne flute out. So I'm sorry to say I had the death of a champagne flute to get them out. But that was just another lesson learning about this particular resin, because I put my, you could see I've put my iridescent film around the glass to try and stop the resin sticking to it, but I think I pressed it too hard, which meant there wasn't any room to pull it out without it shattering. Oopsie, don't tell Neil, that's one of his favourite ones for one of his wines. But I'm going to order some more before he finds out, and I'm going to see if I can get myself some silicone champagne flutes to save the death of any more glass flute. Anyway, all I'm doing is building up my flower, all overlapping them, alternating them, varying the sizes, and I keep tipping it upside down so I can see how the formation will be. And it's really important that you get a nice bud effect in the middle, but then you start to get some waves coming on the outside. Now, people, don't worry, the pile towards the right, all the gold foil was captured and recycled, and you see me using it in the coaster tray, and any of that iridescent paper, I do keep it and I reuse that. That's either goes to make my boards level, or they'll get cut down to go inside coasters and multiple different things. Now, something in your toolkit that you should have when doing sculpting, in my opinion, is masking tape. You can reuse it over and over again. It doesn't stick to that resin, but when you are folding your leaves like I'm doing here, it is important that you take the time to make sure when it comes down to take it off that glass and demold it, you can get to that tape that's on there. You can see me running some tape around the flute. That's just to pull it in tightly and make sure it's gripping it and keeping it in place. So I just rotate around that. But I do have to say, I have one particular thing for me with working with resin. I really do not like very sweet smelling resin. It gives me a headache. It smells the whole house out, even though you've got it all opened up. ClearCast, I've enjoyed that so far. I mean, I've only worked on two projects actually. I've got another one coming up, and I don't have that long lasting smell. When I wear my face mask or respirator, there's nothing coming through that. I find that the bubbles are, it's got a good bubble release. in there, and I just enjoy the medium viscosity. I don't think you can work with a thin resin for such a sculpting. I think it's going to be a lot harder for you, and it's going to be more brittle. So far so good. I'll put the link to ClearCast in my description. I think this is really going to be mainly for the UK people. It's by Fiberglass Supplies, and they're down in Plymouth. So yeah, I'm looking forward to testing it with a sculpture soon and in some art that I've got coming your way. So let me know if you have worked with this brand before, and what are your thoughts on that. And where we are now. Well, I have I've missed where I poured my resin in there. Where's that gone? Let me tell you what happened there. Threw me a bit. I lost footage yet again. So I demolded my flower from my champagne flute that I shattered. Basically, I just did it all reverse, removing the masking tape bit by bit. So it's not a big issue that you've missed it. Check out the other video if you want to see me doing that. I then used a mould, which is the same one that I used in my other video. It's like a coaster mould. I filled it up halfway with the off-white. I put gold leaf around the edges because I really like that rustic look. You can see the flower at the bottom. The reason I do that is it helps make a nice centerpiece or for something in your cabinet, and it helps keep the petals together to keep your flower intact. I had a little bit of overspill in my mould, and that caused the gold leaf to go brittle, so nice pieces of scissors just chop that off beautifully. And the one thing that really surprised me, and this was a real pleasure of this resin, is I normally leave my flowers 24 hours later and it's firmed up, and they are firm and it's nice, but this one was really firm by the morning, so that fully curing time must be a lot quicker, and I really like the solidness of the flowers. Now here I am just testing, how can I bling up my flowers? Yes, I'm Sharon, I like to bling up my flowers. I recommend you do this. I put a few of the different colour gems I've got on there to see what's going to complement it before I commit. And I put a tiny little bit of UV resin just over the top area just to help those gems stay there. And I was originally going with these golden sun ones, but I think it would have been too much orange, so popped that away, and I came back with my clear one. I just put a very tiny thin coat of UV resin, come in with my bling, put some around the middle so it looks like that dew, and then I'm really happy, and that's this piece finished. You see me come in and then add the little bit of surface protection to the bottom of it, so when they are stood on the shelves they're not going to mark or anything like that. But I think these are really creative. I think they look really elegant. I really enjoy these flowers, and I'm really happy that I found this resin, which is new to me, the ClearCast one, and can't wait to share some more projects that I'm going to do in that space. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think to this colour scheme? And look at that gold leaf and those warm colours. It's like the solar flower to me. It just brings joy and happiness and freshness, and I just think it's beautiful to look at. But I would love your thoughts. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Remember, thumbs up, subscribe, share, comments are always welcome. Hit that notification bell to get more of my videos. Maybe consider becoming a member. There's some perks to behind the scenes and ways to get to know me, and footage that other people don't get to see. And if you don't want to become a member but you do want to help my channel, I have a little donation tab either in my description or the top of the homepage, which says buy me a cuppa. Other than that, thank you so much, and yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Have the most amazing week, and come back and visit me soon. Bye bye. I'm going to put Sharon's Dodgy FM now just for the last little bit.